Good morning, students. I welcome you all for the online class of economics. As we are proceeding to the term one, we are proceeding with the term one portions. So after the statistics part is completed, I will be I have started the microeconomics, that is theory of demand, fourth chapter. As we already completed the three chapters, and the next week onwards we will be having in the revisions. Okay. So fourth chapter is just theory of demand chapter. So from microeconomics we will be going to start the fourth chapter, that is theory of demand. Let us continue this chapter by having an introduction. What do you mean by demand, students? As you are demanding, you know demand very well, because every day you demand something from your parents. Many things from many peoples you demand, not only from parents, you demand for every situations. But the demand is that theory of demand says that demand doesn't mean when we like something, when we want something, that is not our wants are not demand. When our wants become demand. How our wants can become demand? When we are having the money also to fulfill our wants. Definitely, like we want a mobile, just our want cannot, we must have the money to purchase that mobile, then it will become the demand. So a consumer, when they are not only having the wants but also having the money to purchase that, to fulfill it, it is considered as demand. So let us see more about the demand meaning. In this chapter we will be going to learn what is the concept of demand. We will be also studying the people demanding, how the way they demand, by learning demand schedule, individual demand schedule and market demand schedule. We will also learn the demand curve, which is made by the demand schedule. Then we will learn the demand function, then law of demand, movements along a demand curve, shift in demand curve, cross price effects, relationship between income and demand, impacts of taste and preference of demand of a commodity. Let us proceed our chapter. Concept of demand when we take student. Ordinarily the terms desire and demands are used interchangeably, but in economics demand has a distinct meaning. Supposing you desire to have a LED TV, but you do not have enough money to buy it. It is just your want, not a demand. Thus this desire will remain just a wishful thinking if you will not be called demand. And if in spite of having enough money, you are not willing to spend it on LED TV, demand does not emerge. The desire becomes demand only when you are ready to spend money to buy the LED TV. Thus, demand for a commodity is the desire to buy a commodity backed with sufficient purchasing power and willingness to spend for the same. It is known as demand. Definitely, this willingness to spend is also a very part, because some of the people having money, they wish also, but they don't pay. They are not ready to pay, so that will not demand. Demand means three things. You must have the desire to buy a commodity, as well as the sufficient money to purchase it, as well as willingness to spend, then it will consider as demand. Next we will be learning now demand and quantity demanded. When we study this, student, what is the demand and quantity demanded? Demand for a commodity is always expressed with reference to price. Ask anybody how much of goods X he will be buy. It depends upon price of goods X is likely to be obvious answer. At higher prices, quantity demanded will be low, and at low prices, quantity demanded will be high. Here comes the distinction between demand and quantity demanded. See here, student, when we demand, it is not measured how many things we are demanding. It is that we demand for LED TV. How many we demand, it is not mentioned. But quantity demanded not only tells about the demand, but also tells how many quantity we want. Like one LED TV, it will show quantity demanded. Okay, it is not only showing demand, but it is showing quantity also, how much we are demanding. So demand refers to purchase different possible quantities to be purchased at different possible prices of a commodity. On the other hand, quantity demanded refers to a specific quantity to be purchased against a specific price of the commodity. Illustration defines it. Demand for commodity X refers to, say, tax unit of X. If Px price of X equals to rupees 5 per unit, B 8 units of X if Px is rupees 6 per unit, 6 units of X if Px equals to rupees 7. What is the product? It is a product X. Okay, but the price of the product X, if it is 5, how many demanded? 8 units demanded. sorry 10 units is demanded when price is 5. 8 units demanded when price is 6, and when the price increases to from 6 to 7, the demand is 6 units. So what you are seeing, 2 units is declining when a mere 1 rupees increase in the price of the commodity. So that is the student how the demand and the quantity demanded flux. Quantity demanded of commodity X refers to say 8 units of X if price is happens to be 6. Same thing what I explained. So demand and quantity demanded, once again if I want to explain you, demand refers to different possible quantities of a commodity that the consumer is ready to buy at different possible prices of that commodity. Quantity demanded, when we see, it refers to a specific quantity to be purchased against a specific price of the commodity. Demand schedule, when we see, student, demand schedule is a table showing the relationship between different quantity commodity to be purchased at different prices of that commodity. According to Samuelson, the table relating to price and quantity demanded is called the demand schedule. Concept of demand schedule includes two things. Okay, what two things? Individual demand schedule and market demand schedule. Individual means one person. Okay, market means so many people are there in the market. About all the peoples, what the way they are demanding the same product, it is known as market demand schedule. Once again, the meaning from the book point. Individual demand schedule, when we see, individual demand schedule refers to demand schedule of an individual buyer of the commodity in the market. It shows quantity of a commodity which an individual buyer will buy at different possible prices of that commodity at a point of time. Table 1 shows it is an individual demand schedule. It shows different quantities of goods X to be bought by a consumer at different prices of goods X at a given time. Let us see, students, individual demand schedule. Here it is the demand schedule of one particular consumer. That one consumer only doing so. When price of goods is 1. How many quantity demanded by the consumer? 4. When the price increase merely by 1 rupee 2, what is the demand? It has a decline 3. What is the price? Price of the goods is increased by 3. Demand of the goods has been increased, declined by 2. Price of the goods is 4. Demand is also going 1. Okay, so this is a general nature of the consumer. When the demands of when the goods prices are increasing, their demands also goes down. Table 1 shows that as the price of goods as increases, the quantity demanded tends to decrease. When price is rupees 1 per unit, the consumer demands 4 units. When price is rupees 3, when price is rupees 4, the demand is 1. Okay, so it is saying inverse relationship. So quantity demanded according to price is having inverse relationship. As the price is increasing, demand becomes decline of a consumer. It is the general nature of the consumer. Market demand schedule, here it is the demand schedule which will be showing at a certain price what is the demand of a particular commodity by different consumers. It is known as market demand schedule. In every market there are several consumers of a commodity. Like rich people, they will purchase more even the price increases, but a poor person will be a consumer will be purchasing as per the capacity of the income. So market demand schedule represent demand for a commodity by all the consumers in the market, show different quantities of a commodity which the consumers intend to buy at different possible prices of that commodity at a point of time. On the assumption that there are only 2 consumers buyers in the market, market demand schedule, say good X may be drawn as in table number 2. Table number 2, market demand schedule, it shows price of goods X, quantity of X by consumer A, quantity of goods purchased by consumer B. 2 consumer we are taking. Market demand schedule is what? Market demand schedule equals to consumer quantity of consumer demanded by A plus quantity demanded by B according to price, same price. When the price of goods is 1, how much A consumer demanded? 4. Consumer B, 5. So market demand schedule equals to 4 plus 5, that is 9. Price of X is 2. It increased. A consumed 3, B consumed 4. Market demand schedule 7. When price gone one more increase 3. Quantity demanded by A, that is 2. Quantity demanded by B is 3. 2 plus 3, 5. Market demand schedule equals to 5. When the consumer price increases by 4, generally consumer A and B will decline their demand too much, that 1 and 2. So 1 plus 2, 3. So this what we have learned, it is market demand schedule. What it is? Market demand schedule. Because here we are learning the number of consumers are there in the market. So table 2 shows that when price of goods X rises, its market demand falls. For example, when price is rupees 1, A demands 4 and B demand 5, that is 9 units. When the price increased to 4, rupees 4, what is the demand of A and B together? A is demanding 1 and B is demanding 2. So what we are seeing here, it decreased from how many? 9 to 3 units. So that is the inverse relationship of the demand according to price increase. Individual demand or individual demand schedule is a table showing different quantities of a commodity that one particular buyer in the market is ready to buy at different possible prices of the commodity at a point of time. Whereas market demand or the market demand schedule is a table showing different quantities of a commodity that all the buyers in the market are ready to buy at different possible prices of the commodity at a point of time. The inverse relationship between own price of the commodity and its quantity demanded holds good both in the case of individual and the market demand schedule. It was same in both. Because as I already said, it is the general habit of the people that when prices decreases, they want to purchase more at the certain time. And when the prices increases, they want to purchase less quantity of goods, though if it will be demanded by one or more consumers. Demand curve. What do you mean by demand curve, student? The diagrammatic presentation of the demand schedule, the tabular data demand schedule, that itself is shown as demand curve. Then definitely it will be in the form of curve. The demand is represented by the way of curve. Okay, whenever we will making a demand schedule, it will generally comes in demand curve. From the demand schedule, it will be in the form of curve. That's why it is given as the name demand curve. As the inverse relationship of price and demand, quantity demanded is also showing the curve to be the particular representation of the graph in the form of curve. Okay, let us see demand curve. One after another we will be going to learn. Demand curve is simply a graphic representation of demand schedule showing how quantity demanded of a commodity is related to its own price. Like demand schedule, concept of demand curve includes individual demand curve and market demand curve. Individual demand curve, when we see student, individual demand curve is a curve showing different quantities of a commodity that the one particular buyer is ready to buy at different possible prices of the commodity at a point of time. Figure 1 shows individual demand curve. In this diagram, quantity of the commodity is shown on x-axis and price on y-axis. DD is the demand curve. It is a curve, the graphic presentation of individual demand schedule has in table number 1. You can see individual demand curve, how it is formed. I will explain, I will help. First of all, students, draw two axes. One is y and one is x. X-axis quantity, y-axis prices. Write it. 1, 2, 3, 4 was there. Just mention this. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 4. When the price of the commodity, first rectangular, how it is formed. It is not so many boxes. It is the graph. Highlight this red line. When the price of the goods was 4, the quantity demanded was, when the first it will be 1 rupees. Now starting was from 1 rupees in the tabular data. So don't see the 4. When the price of the commodity was 1 rupees, the demand was 4 units. How have you got? When the price increased to rupees 2, demand becomes 3. Have you got this? When the price increased from 2 to 3, the demand goes down 2. What I say? 3 to 2. Now it is correct. Now when the demand is 4. Price is 4. How much the quantity demanded? 1. By individual demand curve I am telling, not the market demand curve. Okay. So this way these boxes have you got. Okay. Have you came to know how the graph will be formed? It is very easy. Two sides, first of all, x-axis, y-axis, and then headings, quantity down and price in the right. As it was so simple, not complicated numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4 was there. Quantity also 1, 2, 3, 4. Mention is 1, 2, 3, 4. And according to the price of individual schedule, what I will be showing individual schedule. You can see this tabular data. According to that, the individual demand curve has been formed. What is this? This is the curve. This is demand curve slopes downward. Where it is sloping, it is sloping downward, not upward. This is the upward. This is sloping where? From the downward. It shows inverse relationship between price and quantity. This downward slope only shows that there is an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. Thus, 4 units of the commodity are demanded at when price is rupees 1 per unit, while only 1 unit is demanded when the price is rupees 4 1 unit. Demand curve slopes downward from left to right, indicating inverse relationship between own price of the commodity and its quantity demanded. Higher price leads to a falling quantity demanded, lower price leads to a rising quantity demanded for a commodity. Next come market demand curve, student. When we go with the market demand curve, it is that curve which represent the whole demand made by the different consumers, more than 2 consumers or the 2 consumers, everything you can show with the help of market demand schedule. What we have to do, both the consumer or more than 2 consumer, how much they demand according to the price, you add up together and then you will get according to that price what is the market demand for the particular commodity. It is also made by making the tabular data of the market demand schedule. So the curve which is representing the market demand schedule, it is known as market demand curve. Market demand curve is a horizontal summation of the individual demand curve, shows various quantities of a commodity that all the buyers in the market are ready to buy at different possible prices of the commodity at a point of time. Figure 2 shows market demand curve. It is a graphic presentation of market demand schedule. We remember this individual curve of age demand, it is don't have to go to the tabular data. What do you, when the price is 1, how much demand by individual A? 4. When the price was 1, how much was the demand of the B? 5. So 4 plus 5, 9. So in this curve, up to 9 points take to the quantity X, here 5, here you can take on all the 3 graphs up to 10, 10. It will be more clear, the graph will be there. Don't take a limit that 4 was the restriction, so up to 4. Take to 10, it will be more clear graph. Okay, exceed the points. So here it comes 4 plus 5, 9. Next, when the price was 2, how much demand of the 3 by A? When the price was 2, the demand was of B was 4. So 3 plus 4, 7. See here, when the price was 2, it was demanded 7. When the price was 3, how much demand? 2. When the price was 3, demanded 3. 2 plus 3, 5. So market demand curve, what will be there? 3 price, 5. Up to 5. When the 4, 1 quantity demanded by A. When the price was 4, 2 quantity demanded by 2. So totally when price was 4, how much demanded? 1 plus 2, 3. So this is a very simple, students, market demand curve. I hope you have understood today in the individual schedule, market demand schedule, then individual curve and the market demand curve. Once practice for today's class, this much only. I will be taking the further determinants of demand and its functions in the next class. For today's class, this much only, the demand and quantity demanded and the curve and the demand schedule. Next class, I will be proceeding with the demand function or determinants of demand. Thank you for today's class. Have a nice day.